Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 43 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 43rd time, and I'd like to welcome all my favorite hustlers, scumbags, lowlifes, hoodlums, fienders, degenerates. You're all back for season 2, episode 10. I hope you all had a great Stoney Ween last week, and everybody got a little wild and loose, and you got a little nice with your loved one. We didn't have such a very good week last week, right? Our first losing weeks back since week 2 of this season, right? We managed to rip off 6 straight winning weeks, and 7 straight winning weeks, right up until last week. Didn't turn out so well. The numbers look like this: NCAA 8-11 last week. Certainly not up to our standards. NFL 5-7, obviously not to our standards. 13-18 were the overall numbers, the numbers that I add up into my totals. Okay, but with that taken into consideration, you got to take into consideration the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series, which I had. Right, that's not counted in my numbers. Right, but that was a winner, and I also had the Braves winning Game 6 on Saturday night. So 15-18 isn't nearly as bad as 13-18, but the numbers slid, and that's okay. They're gonna slide. You're gonna have a bad week. I'm gonna have a bad week. Even the best of us have a bad week, and that was our first one in 7 weeks. So now we're gonna bounce right back on the horse and come back and go big this week. 78-65 total for the NCAA football now on the season. That's 54.5. It dropped from the mid 56s, dropped 2 whole percentage points. See what one bad week will do to you? NFL, we went 5-7. We're now 56-37, which is 60% on the season. That's the lowest that I've had all season. And overall, we're 134 wins, 102 losses, for 56.78%. Still rock solid, but 58-59, that's our goal this year. We're going to get there. Before I get to other picks, 2 quick things I want to discuss. And you know me, it's all about baseball. I love my baseball. And I figure I can talk about baseball one last time now that baseball season's over with. We'll start with Buster Posey. As a Giant fan, Buster retired yesterday. A very big deal across Giant land, San Francisco, Bay Area, Northern California, everything. Buster was the face of franchise. Some might argue that the Giants had a mini dynasty with 3 World Series in 5 years. Some will call the LA Dodgers a dynasty. 9 straight trips with one major star asterisk title from last year, right? But that's it. The Giants never really had they had 2 great seasons, but they wound up winning World Series, and Buster was in the middle of it all. He was the face of the franchise. He's a surefire Hall of Famer. His numbers may not add up, but the catcher position has been devalued. Buster and Yadi Molina are the last 2 of a dying breed. They're both going to get into the Hall of Fame, but I put Buster's numbers up against anybody, and they may not be flashy, but when you look at the accolades, his accolades can't be touched. 3 World Series titles, Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, MVP, you name it. Everything from 7 All-Star games, 4 Silver Sluggers, Gold Glove. He caught a perfect game and 3 no-hitters. He did it all. Buster, you will be missed. I'm happy for you. 34, maybe a little bit young, but hey, you left $22 million on the table. That takes big, giant brass balls, which we know you had in spades, Buster. Enjoy your retirement. You deserve it. We'll miss you, but good for you. And we'll see you in 5 years when Cooperstown comes calling. Lastly, I want to touch on the Atlanta Braves, which again is something that nobody really wants to talk about. Everybody wants to remember how the Braves choked in the 90s. Oh my God, they won 15 straight titles and all that, and they won one World Series. All they did was lose. They found different ways to lose every year. Kind of sounds like the Dodgers, right? Well, this year, nobody wants to talk about it because the Braves didn't really come out of nowhere. Well, they kind of did, considering they had a losing record at the All-Star break, but they bounced back. They had the best record in baseball since the All-Star break, and they dominated. I mean, let's face it, they kicked everyone's ass in the playoffs. They never faced a deciding game. They never trailed in any series. They were ahead in Milwaukee and polished them off quickly in 4. They were ahead in the Dodgers series and should have swept them if Clay Bellinger didn't have a lucky swing in Game 4. Or Game 3, I'm sorry. And in the World Series, they never trailed. They won Game 1. They lost Game 2, but then they won Games 3 and 4, and the series was effectively over. Atlanta dominated. They deserved to win the World Series, and I'm happy for my Atlanta fans, all you guys who think that your city is jinxed, right? I understand you guys had a rough go of it 25, 30 years ago when the Braves were doing their thing in the 90s and early 2000s, right? I get that. But just because the Falcons spectacularly blundered it about 5 years ago, you can't add, it's the same city, and I'm from Atlanta, and I've seen it happen, the heartbreak, so many times. No. All that's over with, right? Although all the players are gone now, right? From the Braves of the 90s and the 2000s, and the majority of the Falcons, right? With the exception of Matt Ryan. But that wasn't Matt Ryan's fault that the Falcons lost that Super Bowl. Anyway, good for you, Atlanta. I'm happy for you. Enjoy your title. Get yours. All right? That's all I got to say. And now you can stop playing for second place, right? Now, when you're the favorite, we're going to expect you to win. So good for you, Atlanta. All right? We're going to move on. Here we go. We're going to fire them up now, and we're going to go pretty quick because we had a lot of picks coming for you, all right? Lots of them. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm just going to give you the picks, and we're going to move on, all right? Here we go. Starting off in the ACC at noon Eastern time tomorrow, Pittsburgh, 25th ranked Panthers head into Durham to take on Duke. Pitt is 6-2. They had a really bad loss last week to Miami, and anytime anybody loses to Miami, it's a bad loss because Miami is a bad program, is a terrible program. Please don't make me laugh. Miami's a mess, right? Pitt lost to them last week. They're going to bounce back this week and take it out on Duke. I am taking Pitt minus 21.5 at Duke. That goes to show the confidence I have in Pickett and Pittsburgh. They're going to come out firing. Duke has lost 4 straight. They've been blown out in most of those games. They don't stand a chance. Pitt rolls early. Next up, staying in the ACC, noon Eastern time in Chapel Hill, Duke's rival, North Carolina, they're hosting 9th-ranked Wake Forest. Now, Wake, yes, top 10 Wake Forest for the first time in program history. Good for them. Undefeated. They've been rolling. They're doing their thing. They're scoring 43 points a game. North Carolina scoring 36 points a game. The total in this game, 77.5. No, take the under, period. That's it. Both teams can score. We know that. But they're not going to combine for 80, right? Yes, Wake did hang 70 on Army a couple weeks ago, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. Take Wake, North Carolina, under 77.5. That'll get you to 2-0 on the day. Also, noon Eastern time, we move over to the Big Ten in the land of Lincoln. Nebraska plays host to number 5th ranked Ohio State. The Buckeyes come in as 15-point chalk. Nebraska's a mess. Scott Frost's job is a mess. He's going to lose his job very soon. Nebraska's lost 4 out of 5. Ohio State's won 6 straight since that loss to Oregon, and they've been blowing teams out. Yeah, they didn't cover for us last week against Penn State, but that's okay. They're going to bounce back here. Lay the 15. Ohio State goes into the cornfields of Nebraska and wins big. Also noon Eastern time in Stoneyappolis, Minnesota. Illinois heads into town to play the 20th ranked Golden Gophers. Minnesota's 14.5 point chalk. Illinois is 3-6, and they just can't score. Their offense is a total mess. Minnesota's 6-2. They've won 4 straight. They've definitely got to go in. PJ Fleck got them to turn their season around when they were 2-2. They've now won 4 straight. They've got a ranking. They're at home. They're in Stoneyappolis. Take Minnesota minus 14.5. Another noon Eastern time, SEC football. Saturdays in the South. Remember that. Saturdays in the South with the 3 F's. Family, faith, and football. Here we go. SEC Missouri heads into Athens to take on top-ranked Georgia, and Georgia is a 39.5 point favorite. Does Georgia win this game 44-0? Could happen. Could very easily happen. Not going to happen. We're going to take Missouri. I have no qualms. Georgia, this game's going to be a blowout. Georgia's going to win huge, but Missouri, take the 39.5. Yeah, you're going to give me 40 points. I'm going to take them. Missouri plus 39.5. Last noon Eastern time game, heading off to the American Athletic Conference, about 3 hours down, 3 hours west of here in the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. SMU comes into town, 4.5 point chalk. Memphis is 4-4, but they've lost 4 out of 5. They really haven't been playing that well. SMU's 7-1. They did lose for the first time last week to Houston. Cost me. I had SMU. SMU is a very, very good team, and that was a very disappointing loss. I expect them to bounce back strong and take it out on Memphis on the road. Take the Mustangs, lay the 4.5. 3:30 Eastern time kickoffs. We're going to head to Morgantown, West Virginia in the Big 12. 11th ranked Oklahoma State comes into Morgantown as 3.5 point favorites over West Virginia. Oklahoma State, I've ridden a lot this year. They're 7-1. 2 weeks ago, they lost to Iowa State. Last week, they bounced back with a blowout of Kansas, but Kansas is shitty. I've been saying all year long that Oklahoma State's been, quote, winning ugly, and they have. They didn't cover a lot of numbers early on in the season, but they just kept racking up W's, and then when they were dogs, they kept getting wins, and they've had a very good season at 7-1, but West Virginia's starting to get things together now. They're 4-4, right? After an 0-3 start, they've now won 4 out of 5. They got things together. They're at home, that raucous environment in Morgantown. They're 3.5 point dogs. We're going to take the 3.5 in the home dog of the Mountaineers. Also, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, Big Ten football in Stoniette, Indiana. Purdue is 3-point dogs against the 3rd-ranked Spartans of Michigan State. Now, Michigan State got to number 3 in the first college football polls. Good for them. They're 8-0. Last week they rolled over Michigan, made me money. They're looking good. They're playing great. But there's something about them. There really is. There's something about them, just like there was something about Oklahoma State that not a lot of people have faith in. Everybody's kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall. And this line tells you a lot. As a 3rd-ranked team goes on the road and they're 3-point favorites over a 5-3 Purdue team, which really isn't all that great. They have won 3 out of 5, and their losses were to Wisconsin and Minnesota, just as Wisconsin was getting hot, and we told you what Minnesota's been doing. Well, I'm going to take Purdue. I'm going to play into the trap, or I'm going to play against the trap. I'm going to take the Boilermakers here +3, and we'll see what happens. Another 3:30 p.m. Eastern time matchup in the SEC. This one's in Stony Station, Texas. Texas A&M, 14th ranked Aggies, are hosting the 13th ranked Tigers of Auburn. This is a really good matchup right here. A&M's 4.5 point chalk at home. They're 6-2. They've won 3 straight. They beat Alabama. They're doing everything right now. Auburn, also the same way. They're 6-2. They've won 4 out of 5. Their only loss during that streak was to Georgia, so, and nobody's paying attention to Auburn because of a couple of early L's on their docket. Well, I like Auburn. I'm going to take the 4.5. Auburn might even surprise you and walk away with a W here, but I'm going to take the Tigers because it's good. It's good to be an Auburn Tiger fan, something like that, however the hell they sing it. I don't know. I've heard it, I've seen it, and it drives me nuts because I'm not fans of Auburn fans. I like their football team, I like their program, but Auburn fans are forget it. I won't even go there. I'll leave it alone because I know a lot of Auburn fans. Anyway, moving on, we head back to the American Athletic. This is a good matchup, right? Well, it's not really that good of a matchup. It's in the Queen City of Stony Natty, Ohio. Cincinnati, the 6th-ranked Bearcats, are 22.5-point chalk at home against the Tulsa Golden Eagles. This one shouldn't be close. Tulsa's 3-5. They've lost 3 out of 5. Cincinnati's 8-0. We all know that they feel slighted by dropping to number 6 in the polls after being as high as number 2 in the polls. But now with the official rankings coming out, they slid to number 6, so they know they're going to need style points. But honestly, I think if they run the table, they're going to make the college football playoff, so they're not going to need the style points, especially if Michigan State loses to Purdue tomorrow. A lot can change. So I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'm going to lay the 22.5, big number, but I'm going to lay it at home. So roll Bearcats. 4 p.m. in Tallahassee, Florida. NC State, the 19th ranked Wolfpack, head into Tallahassee to take on Florida State. NC State's 2.5-point chalk. Florida State is 3-5. They started to play better after that miserable start. They won 3 in a row before last week's brutal loss to Clemson. Cost me and cost everybody. It was one of the worst beats you'll ever see, as Florida State was covering and even winning most of that game. And there was no way they weren't going to cover. And on the last play of the game, they tried one of those crazy lateral plays, and it was picked up on the 5-yard line by Clemson, and the guy walked into the end zone to give Clemson the cover. And that began my downward slide for the rest of the weekend, basically. That was the beginning of the end of my week. So just despite that, I'm going to say screw the Noles, go Wolfpack. Wolfpack have won 4 out of 5. They're 6-2. They're playing good ball, even though they lost 2 weeks ago to Miami, because again, losing to Miami is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Miami shit, Florida State shit, Gators are shit. I don't know what happened to the state of Florida all of a sudden this year. But anyway, they're all miserable. So take NC State, lay the 2.5 in Tallahassee, Florida. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Lexington, Kentucky, about 4 hours north of here. SEC football, the Tennessee Vols head into Lexington to take on the 18th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Tennessee is now 1-point favorite. The line opened at 4. It's been bet down all the way down to 1, which tells you something. A lot of people like Kentucky all of a sudden. Tennessee's 4-4. They've lost 3 out of 5, including 2 straight to Mississippi and Alabama. No harm in losing to those teams. Those are two good football teams. Kentucky's 6-2, but they've lost 2 straight. Georgia and Mississippi State. Again, no harm in losing neither one of them either. This should be a good matchup in Lexington, but I like Kentucky. I like their defense better than I like Tennessee's, so I'm going to take the Wildcats and the 1 point at home. 7 p.m. SEC football, Tuscaloosa, T-Town, Alabama. Alabama versus LSU, the 2nd-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, the 2nd-ranked, even though they have a loss, they are ranked 2nd. They're 28.5-point chalk. When's the last time you've ever heard of LSU as 28.5-point chalk? Well, here you have, right? LSU is a complete disaster. Ed Orgeron, he's gone at the end of the season. He was talking shit in Tuscaloosa 2 years ago when they won. This is our field. This is our house. Blah, blah, blah. Little Nicky, the Nick-tator, whatever you want to call Nick Saban, he's got a memory. He's going to remember it. Bama's going to roll. I am going to lay 28.5 points against LSU, because am I going to take the Tigers? No, no Tigers. Do not take the Tigers. The Chinese Bandits. Screw the Chinese Bandits. It's all about the Tide. Roll Tide. 28.5. Dance. They'll win by 35. Moving on. 7:30 p.m. Pac-12 Husky Stadium in Seattle. Fourth ranked Oregon heads in. Yes, Oregon. That goes to show you the poll. Not the pollsters, but the voters in the poll. The College Football Playoff Committee and what they think of Oregon. They have to be above Ohio State because they beat Ohio State, and they both have the same record right now. So Oregon is fourth. Nobody really buys them as a 4 seed. Anybody in their right mind would have Ohio State ahead of them. If Ohio State played Oregon today, Ohio State would be a double-digit favorite. Oregon is a 7-point favorite in Seattle against Washington. Oregon's 7-1. They've won 3 straight after they lost to Stanford. Washington, on the other hand, is 4-4, but they've won 3 out of 5, and they're at home, and they're getting a touchdown. I'll take the Huskies plus the 7. 7:30 p.m. ACC football in Louisville, about 2.5 hours up the road here from where I am. The Cardinals of Louisville are 4-point dogs as Clemson comes in, 4-point favorite. Clemson is 5-3. They've won 3 out of 4, but they can't score. Their offense is a mess. DJ Uiagalelei is not playing well. He's been benched. Dabo Swinney still has a world-class defense, but that offense is just struggling right now. Louisville can score. We know that. Yeah, they've lost 3 out of 4, and they're 4-4 right now, but I'm going to take Louisville. I'm going to take the 4 because Clemson just doesn't cover. Last week's fluke against Florida State aside, they just don't cover. 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Reno, Nevada, the biggest little Stony in the world. Mountain West Conference football, Nevada, Reno, hosting San Jose State. Nevada's 10.5-point favorites. Nevada's 6-2. They've won 4 out of 5. They lost to Fresno 2 weeks ago, but they're playing well. They're scoring big numbers. San Jose State's 5-4 after a really rough start when people were expecting big things from the Spartans this year. They've now bounced back. They've won 3 out of 5, and their losses during that time were to Colorado State and San Diego State. No harm in those. So, but they're getting 10.5 points here. I don't see Reno blowing them out. I see San Jose State coming in under the number. Take the 10.5 on the road. 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Conference USA, El Paso, Texas. UTSA, the Roadrunners of Texas San Antonio, head in to El Paso to take on the Miners of Texas El Paso. UTSA is 11.5-point favorites, and they're a damn covering machine. UTEP is 6-2. They've won 4 straight. Before their loss last week to FAU, they had won 4 straight. But UTEP is playing well. They're 6-2. They're going bowling. We know that, right? UTSA, on the other hand, is 8-0, right? They've won and covered, they're 8-0. So they've won all 8 games, but they've covered 5 out of 6. They're a covering machine, and I'm going to keep rolling with them because they've made me a lot of money this year. So take the Roadrunners, lay the 11.5 in the third to last game. 10:30 p.m. back to the Pac-12, Tempe, Arizona. This one has the makings of two shitty football teams, but it should be a pretty good game. USC heads into Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe to take on Arizona State. The Sun Devils are 8.5-point favorites. USC's 4-4. They've lost 3 out of 5. Last week they beat Arizona, but who gives a shit because Arizona's that bad. Arizona State's 5-3, but they've lost 2 straight after their hot start. They lost to Washington State and Utah, which goes to show that the Pac-12, that's what the Pac-12 is. Schools beat up on each other. So don't be surprised USC wins this game, but I will be surprised. I'm taking the Sun Devils. I'm laying the 8.5 and watching Arizona State win easily. Finally, 11 p.m. It must be degenerate special time. Donnie O, wave your flag. Lugo, wave your flag. Y'all love the degenerate special because, well, You're degenerates. Period. That's how it rolls. 11 p.m. tomorrow night, Mountain West football in Stony Lulu, Hawaii. It must be Hawaii at home. Yep, that's what happens. 24th ranked Aztecs of San Diego State head into Stony Lulu as 7-point favorites. Hawaii's 4-5. 4-5. They've lost 2 out of 3. They did win 2 weeks ago, costing us. And we need to pick up the pace in the degenerate special. We got off to a miserable start, then we won 3 in a row, but now we've dropped 2 straight since then. So San Diego State 7-1. Last week was their first loss of the season and cost me because I had them against Fresno, and Fresno jumped up and bit them in the ass. But I'm going to take San Jose State. I'm going to lay the 7 in Stony Lulu, and San Diego State wins. There's 19 NCAA picks for that ass. Fire away. NFL football, here we go, rapid fire Sunday. Cleveland plus 2.5 at Cincinnati. I like Cleveland. Dallas minus 10 at home against Denver. I like Dallas, lay the 10. Miami minus 5.5 against Houston in Miami. I like the Finns. 2 terrible teams, both 1-7. Houston's already checked out. Miami has checked out. They're still playing hard. I'm going to take the Finns and lay the 5.5 at home. That's how bad Houston is. Atlanta versus New Orleans. New Orleans is 5-2. They're at home. They're taking on the 3-4 Falcons. New Orleans is the second worst 5-2 team in the NFL. I'll tell you who the worst 5-2 team is. They're coming up next. New Orleans. No, not buying it. I'm going to take Atlanta plus 6.5. New York Giants 2-6 at home against the Las Vegas Raiders at 5-2. That's the worst 5-2 team in the NFL. I'm going to take the Giants at plus 3. They're at home. The Raiders are traveling cross country into the Eastern time zone. Give me the Giants. The 4-4 New England Patriots, I'm going to take at minus 4 on the road in Carolina against the Panthers, who are also 4-4. New England, these are the games that Belichick has been winning for 20 years. He rolls. Easy. Lock of the week, New England over Carolina. 1-6 Jacksonville. I'm going to take the 14.5. Call me stupid against Buffalo. Buffalo's 5-2. They're laying 14.5 on the road against Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked like dog shit last week, and a lot of people are down on Urban Meyer. I'm not. I'm going to take Jacks plus 14.5. Minnesota 3-4 plus 6. I'm taking them against Baltimore, who's 5-2, another fraudulent 5-2 team that's not as good as their numbers, their record suggests. I'm going to take Minnesota plus the 6. Philadelphia plus 1.5. I'm going to take them at home against the Chargers. There's another fishy line that everybody looks at, but the Chargers got to cross country and go into Philadelphia, and the West doesn't play well in the East, and the Chargers are starting to show their true colors. They're shitting the bed like they do every single year. They're going to fall to 4-4 after Philly beats them. Philly outright, plus 1.5, or outright, like I just said. 7-1 Packers, plus 7 against Kansas City, who's 4-4. You might have heard some people talking something about these. I don't give them the time of day. I'm not going to talk about Aaron Rodgers because I don't give a shit about Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay plus 7. I'm going to take Jordan Love in Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, next to Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I said it. Moving on, Arizona at San Francisco. Arizona's 7-1, coming off their first loss of the season. The 49ers played well last week against the Bears. They're 3-4. San Francisco just doesn't win at home. They never do. They're going to win at home this time. Kyler Murray's out. Arizona's going to be struggling. Colt McCoy, really? No. Niners win. Niners cover, minus 2.5. Rams versus Tennessee. This is the Sunday night game. The Rams are 7-1, Tennessee 6-2. This has all the great makings of a great matchup. Nah, not without Derrick Henry. Rams roll at home, lay the 7.5. This game could get ugly, and everybody's going to go, oh, the Rams are the best team in the NFL, and Matt Stafford is God. He's the greatest. No, neither one of those are true. Rams are overrated, and Stafford's good, don't get me wrong, and is having a good year, but nope, sorry, not having it. Monday night, Chicago versus Pittsburgh. They head into the big giant ketchup bottle up there in Pitt. Pittsburgh's starting to bounce back. They're 4-3. Remember that miserable start? Chicago's 3-5. They're not feeling it, but I'm going to take the 6.5 either way. I'm going to take Justin Fields, and I like that Chicago defense just to keep the Steelers down and not let them run away with this game. Give me the Bears plus the 6.5 on Monday night. How you like that? 19 college football plays, 13 NFL plays. That's 32 plays on the week. All right? If that's not enough, all right, well, that is enough, and that's all you're going to get. But here, before I move on, let me give a couple shout-outs real quick, okay? I'm going to start with UPS John, Sherwood Green, and Yerba Mate Sean. Y'all know who I'm talking, or you guys know that it's you. I'm giving you shout outs for your Braves. You guys, it was fun talking shit with you and hanging with you guys and even going to games with you guys and everything. We're going to go to more Braves games together next year, but congratulations for you haters, Green. Or actually, no, Green's not the hater. Sean, Yerba Mate Sean is the hater. Sherwood Green is the doubter. And John UPS is just John from UPS. He's a moron. He doesn't know any better. And finally, I usually don't give last names on people I give shout outs to, but I will in this case. Lydia Simons. Lydia Simons. If you don't know the name, Google her. Follow her on Facebook. Follow her on Instagram, Twitter, all of them, and all outlets. Lydia is the bomb. She's like a little sister to me. She's going to make it big in the country music business. She's got a gorgeous voice, a great personality. She's all heart. She's a beautiful Christian woman from the South, from Georgia, who's a big Braves fan. Lydia, you rock. Congrats on your Braves. So my shout outs this week go out to all my Braves fans. Good for you guys. I was proud to be a part of it with you all. So enjoy it. So finally, as I move on to the end, I just want to remind you that if you want to win big, you got to bet big, right? To me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you.